This is the Voice Over Marketing Podcast, episode number 45. And this episode is sponsored by my new blog, The Voice Over Athlete. Just go to voiceoverathlete.com. And the slug line or positioning line for that blog is because a healthy body means a healthy voice. And on that blog, I have a number of articles and resources for you. And I have a story as to why I started this blog because, we use our bodies to do our jobs, much like an athlete does, hence the term voiceover athlete. So I'd love for you to go check out that blog, voiceoverathlete.com. Check out some of the resources, some of the posts, and send me your feedback. What would you like to learn more about? I've gotten feedback on breathing techniques, neck mobility, posture issues, and other things. So I would love to create the things that you want to learn about, and we'll share them together on that blog. So voiceoverathlete.com. And now, on with the show. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Voice Over Marketing Podcast. My name is John Melley, and this is the podcast dedicated to teaching in-depth and advanced marketing strategies for people in the voiceover and audio production professions. My goal is to help you make more money by showing you ways to leverage your time, charge more for your talents, and allow you to spend more time doing the things you want to do in your life. Hey there, it's John. Thanks for spending some time with me today. I do appreciate it. Wow, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Before we dive into the second part of my interview with Kelley, I want to thank everybody, all the new members, for joining the Voice Over Marketing Podcast group on Facebook and also on LinkedIn. If you're not on that group in LinkedIn, also tap on my door at linkedin.com and get signed up for there as well. I also want to give a special shout out to Joelle Jacobs for her kind donation to the podcast. She sent a very generous donation to help offset the costs of this podcast. If you'd like to do the same, please feel free to go to voiceovermarketingpodcast.com. Look for the donation button. You can choose any amount that you want to help offset the costs of this podcast. I have to host the audio and I have to host the website. So there are two things going. It costs money to keep this podcast going every month, in addition to the time that it takes to put together the episodes. It's a labor of love, but it does cost me some money. So if you feel so moved to make a contribution, it's most appreciated. Joelle, I want to let you know that I have something special in the mail for you as a small thank you for your donation. And it'll be coming in a padded envelope, so keep your eye out for that. You should have that in the next few days. As of this recording, we have had 47,076 downloads of all the various odd and sundry episodes of the Voice Over Marketing Podcast. And so I want to thank you for your support of the show, your interest in the show, and sharing it with your voiceover friends and colleagues. I really do appreciate it. Episode 44 was the first part of my interview with Kelley Carruthers Buttrick, and we had a fantastic response, in no small part due to the fact that it's a great episode. And Kelley and I spoke for about an hour and a half, and I decided to break the interview up into two episodes. So if you have not listened to part one, go back to episode 44 and listen to part one. This is part two. And this is just as fun and a little bit more insightful, a little bit more introspective than the first part was. In the first part, it was mostly nuts and bolts on the marketing and the research. In this episode, we continue along those. We continue with some nuts and bolts, but we also talk about balance and feeling right about the marketing campaign and some spiritual things, that how we get energy to actually execute the campaign, actually push the start button on it, if you will. We talk about some resources. We get a guest appearance from Kelley's dog, Gypsy. Just to bring you up to speed, at the end of the last episode, we were talking about thank you notes and how to send them and when you should ask for permission to send thank you notes to clients and agencies. And it was in that part of the interview where I had been taking notes. I was checking off different themes I was hearing in Kelley's discussion with me. And so we pick it up on research in this part of the episode. We continue on with that, and then we go on to other keywords that I was writing down in my notes. So I was taking notes during my interview with Kelley. I hope you take notes during your listening of this podcast. And this one is good, so go back and listen to it again if you miss anything. So let's go to the second part of the interview with Kelley. And I want to let you know that in this part of the interview, Kelley shares with me and with you some information that she's never shared in any other interview, and it deals directly with her KB for Jeep campaign. Make sure you listen for that, and it's an exclusive that we have right here on the Voiceover Marketing Podcast. The other couple of points that I just wanted to mention was obviously research. You've talked about that a number of times, but you're always refining your message, which is interesting to hear too. So, and that comes directly from the research.
It does. The research drives everything. I was on that Reagan chat, actually. I was all excited. I learned how to make memes for that.
Okay.
And I took a picture of my Jeep engine.
Okay.
Because that's where I got to be creative.
Yeah.
It was a picture of my Jeep engine, and it said, research is what drives your marketing. And it does.
That's
because
clever.
That tells you how to spin the message. That is the engine that is powering you. So, like with the Grand Wagoneer, if that was going to be that was definitely a big part of the message. Well, now I'm pulling back from that, at least until they start thinking about their release date in 2019. And now I'm focusing on Jeep in general and the new Wrangler that's coming out. They're going to do a big overhaul of the Jeep Grand Cherokee, and they're replacing the SRT with the Hellcat Grand Cherokee. So you have to be willing to twist your message, but the only way you're going to be able to do that and be flexible enough to do that, A, is if you aren't locked into a business and marketing plan. They're handcuffs. I feel like sometimes those are really handcuffs. Yep. At least for me, they are handcuffs that hold me back. You've got to be free to change and own that it's changed. I wrote Adweek covered KB for Jeep, which was huge. And one of the things they mentioned was the content I wrote next to one of the videos where I talked about basically what horrible grammar I used because I was so nervous. And I used awful grammar. I'm a journalism major, my degree is in journalism, and I used horrible grammar in it. I was nervous and I just sounded awful.
Well.
So I put that in the content next to the video saying, hey, this grammar in here is horrible.
Oh, I think I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and my English teacher mother freaked out, but I can't go back and fix it. So you just kind of own it. You just got to be flexible and spin it. And if you make a mistake, jump in and be prepared. Be prepared for those opportunities and look at them as opportunities. Opportunities to change the message, to target, to spin on a dime. When my campaign stalled after that email, and I'm just sitting there going, okay, now what do I do?
Right.
It's like crickets. Or, being in a sailboat and the wind just stops. You're out in the middle of Lake Michigan. So you don't want to get hit by the barge coming through, so you got to find a way to get through it. So that's why it was like, okay, great, I'm going to switch the messaging to this My Jeep Story, #KB for Jeep. Let's switch it all around, and now my messaging is directed by their campaign.
Oh, yeah. Start paddling, right?
Start paddling. Oh, heck yeah. I'm a kayaker. I'm all about paddling.
I love kayaking too, yeah.
Do you really? Well,
Absolutely.
If you ever come down, I'll have to take you paddling with me.
Okay, that'll be fun. My folks live up in Maine, and there's a nice tidal river that goes near their house, and I love to just go out there at high tide, and you see all kinds of things, and it's so quiet.
Like, what do you get to see? That's so cool.
I've seen hawks, I've seen deer, I've seen egrets, great blue heron, pipers, sandpipers, all kinds of stuff. Awesome.
Well, who lives up there in kayaks is Nancy Germain. I don't know if you know her, but
no, sure, I know Nancy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nancy Germain. Yeah.
Too.
Oh, really?
German. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys kayak and throw a bunch of pictures up there and make me feel horrible. That'll be great.
Okay, sounds good. One thing you said something. I don't remember when in our conversation, but I think it had to do with the different brands that you're passionate about. And I wanted to direct you to another episode of this podcast. I don't know if you recall it. And this is for anybody. Yeah, it's episode 24. And I'm
writing this down.
Yep.
Okay.
I interviewed Mark Malkoff. And he is the host of the Carson podcast.
Okay.
And he's interviewed all of these folks who were on the Carson show, Johnny Carson, The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and But during our interview, he sent me his bio ahead of time, but he's done stuff for JetBlue where he lived on a plane for a week. And,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, and he did something with Starbucks. He hit every Starbucks in Manhattan within a 24-hour period of time. It's a little tangential off of what you're doing with Jeep, but he's done these things where he's done these branding programs, or I don't want to call them stunts because they're not, but
right.
They're kind of savvy. They're more savvy than that. Smart stunts, and he got paid for them. And
nice.
And so, but he talks about how those things came about and how he wrote up different treatments of them for each of those projects. So you may want to listen to that just as part of your research.
Oh, I'm doing it. That's so what I'm doing right now. I mean, when we get off, I'm downloading that.
Okay.
And I just sounded like my teenager. That's so what I'm doing. But I love that idea because I think that, and it is what I'm trying to do with some of this additional content, because that was a huge investment for those first 8 videos. Those were all professionally done.
Oh, yeah, that shows.
These other ones I'm just doing on a wing and a prayer and, pennies. Thanks to Zach Miller, again, is really helping me out with some of these. But like I did one in a stunt, hopefully a smart one.
Yeah.
It was a stretch, and that is that Jeep is celebrating their 75th birthday, and so is the Peabody Awards, which are run through my alma mater, the Grady School of Journalism here at UGA. So what do, a serious journalism and media award and Jeep have in common?
Okay.
Not much. But I researched really hard, and there were some stretches. All of them are stretches. But I found some intersections where the two brands have intersected and put together a video about it.
Well, that's
fun. And it was really fun because it was a fun way to tie these two completely unrelated things together. Like The Simpsons and The Sopranos were two programs that were awarded Peabody Awards in the past. And in various episodes, they have featured Jeeps.
Okay. I love The Sopranos and The Simpsons.
Yeah, everybody does. And it was a Jeep Grand Wagoneer that was in it.
Okay.
So doing things like that, or like when Jeep Wave Day, I put together two videos on the Jeep Wave. One was the history of the Jeep Wave, and one was I went out onto social media and found people who own Jeeps and had them send me their Jeep Wave pictures, and narrated a little story on the Jeep Wave, and Zach put it all together, and that was kind of fun. So I'm doing social media-wise that, but I would love to hear his process. That might help me when I look at making this transition from KB for Jeep to KB voiceovers. That might really be a way to do it, because I would love to hit some of these other brands that I am passionate about with this same kind of effort. But the problem is, honestly, John, I don't have the energy or the time at this point. I'm having a great time. It's really fun. I am getting to be creative, which is really great.
Yeah.
But I'm tired. I am tired.
You know what, Kelley? There's nothing wrong with that. I got to the same place. I've talked about this in other episodes of the podcast. I mean, there was a time when I was, and I'll talk, we talked before we actually started the recorded part of the interview. I talked to you about a book, and I'll tie it in now. But
please do.
Sure.
Segue.
Segue, yeah. But there's nothing wrong with that, in that I was doing a lot of product creation. I had developed a product, and I was helping people build their marketing, other business owners, and positioning folks as experts in their field with these audio recordings that I was doing. And I mentioned Dan Kennedy a few minutes ago, but Bill Glazer. There are people who listen to this podcast. Tanya Sims, who was the guest on the last episode, she's a member of Glazer Kennedy Insider Circle, GKIC. And Bill Glazer is the G in the GKIC. He sold the business a few years ago, but Bill and I did a joint venture. And here's the book title. He wrote a book called Outrageous Advertising That's Outrageously Successful. And
I love it.
I have a link to that on the Mel Dog's Book Club link on the podcast.
Okay.
And he's in a straitjacket, and he's got this look, but there's all kinds of fun marketing examples in there. I think you would love to just get ideas from.
Yeah, I just wrote that one down too.
Yeah. And but my point in bringing that all up was we did a joint venture, and he mailed out. We actually did a recording, and he did an endorsed mailing with an order form, and I was making a good amount of money over and above what I was, earning at CBS, and I was working myself ragged, and I got to a point where, the money was great, but, I wound up with kidney stones.
Oh my gosh.
I'm fine now, thank God. But, it's like, I'd come to work. I'd work till like 6 o'clock. I'd come home. I'd have dinner really quickly. I'd go upstairs to the attic studio and I'd edit till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
I'd put a Post-it note on the bathroom mirror, and I said to Ann, set the alarm for 9 o'clock. And I wouldn't see her in the morning. And so she'd set the alarm for 9. I'd wake up at 9 and I'd go lather, rinse, repeat. And you can only do that for so long.
Absolutely.
And it's one of the reasons why I started this other blog. It's called The Voiceover Athlete, because when you really think about it, we are athletes.
Oh, yeah.
Because we use our bodies to perform.
Absolutely.
And there's only so much you can do, and rest is as important as work and good health. But so I bring all that up to say to you, you know what? That's okay. And I had to step back. I said, you know what? I'm just not doing as much. I'm not making as much money as I was, but you know what? I had to spend it on an ambulance and all that kind of stuff. I mean, not all of it.
Oh, my gosh.
Not all of it or anything like that, but
Right.
it does come with a cost at some point. And you
It
just
does,
start
and
saying,
sometimes it's not a financial cost.
Right.
On vacation, I was having such a great time, and obviously my dad was having a great time on the Silver Lake sand dunes, and one of my teenagers said something like, "Oh, Mom, are you going to turn this into a post?" And and then my husband, when we were driving around, he was driving at that point, and I said, "Oh, slow down. Let me get a picture of this Jeep."
yeah,
And he goes, Kelly, no, I don't want to slow down,
yeah,
And that's kind of where it started sinking in. I'm like, this is having a negative impact on my family, because I can't, as you, I hope, have found in this interview, I am very focused and detail-oriented. So I always think about Jeep. Like you're putting the sticky notes up, and you come home and you're thinking about it after you're working, and so I'm always thinking about it. I view everything through these KB for Jeep glasses. How can I spin this? How can I make this work for me? How can I, let me come back and take a picture of it with my Jeep so then I can write about it in my blog. And as fun as all this is, it is mentally and physically taxing.
Yeah.
So that's why I think I will wind this down. I'm not saying I'm going to quit, because I'm not, but I'm really going to wind it down and just regroup. I'll probably, when the opportunity presents itself, I'm going to jump on it.
yep.
I'm continuing to stay immersed in the brand. When they come out with their Jeep Grand Wagoneer, you will probably be sick of me again, because I will be all over that and be going, hey, remember me? But yes, financially, the return on the investment, I think, is there. But I gotta step back and focus on KB voiceover.
Yeah.
Speaking of rescue dogs, I've got one that's barking to come in my
That's fine. That's okay.
Okay, come on. You come on. The one who looks like Falcor the Love Dragon, which I'm going to send you a picture of. I can't believe you've not watched that.
I'm gonna put all this on the website anyway. Anyway.
I'll take
That's
a picture
awesome.
of you to put with Falcor the Love Dragon.
Yeah, please send me a dog picture.
I will. 'Cause
We'll put that on the page too. That's awesome. I put that picture of the mic scream.
Oh yeah,
And
one of your listeners thought was intense.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. It was like, well, she looks intense. I said,
intense is so funny.
It's part of the shtick here.
It is, and I am, when it's something like this.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that it is intense, and that's what makes it so exhausting. I am intense when it comes to something I'm passionate about. Yes, I am intense, but I am one of the most flexible, like non-intense people you've ever meet.
Honestly,
so it cracked me up.
Yeah. I honestly think your chill attitude comes across in your videos.
Oh, good. Good. I'm so glad.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
Look like a whack job.
Well, the one that there are a couple of I mentioned the Jeep hair one, and then there's the one where you're out in the field with the two Jeeps and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's just, you look great in it, and it sounds great. And the two questions I wanted to ask you. First of all, can I put those links to the video on the show notes for this episode?
Oh, twist my arm. a little bit harder, John. Really?
Okay.
Giving me free publicity? No.
And the other question I wanted to ask you is, how did you get the mic to sound so great out in the field there without, somebody driving a lawnmower or a car or a honk? You're like,
That's a funny story. That is a funny story. So first of all, I do have to shout out to my dear friend, Peter Goffner. She's the one that made me look good. I mean, I'm the reason I like voiceovers, I don't have to, get any kind of lift of my body. I don't need to whiten my teeth. I don't need Botox on my face because you don't need that for a voiceover. So being on camera and having to look like a girl was a little difficult, and thanks to Pitter that happened. But
well, you made that happen.
Yeah, she's the one that made me look younger than I am. But the sound was, I had come up with all these great ideas and sent them to Matt Chastain, who was in charge of the video part of the production. And we've been friends for many years, and Matt came back and said, and he's actually getting ready, I just got to give him a shout out, they're getting ready to, he's written his first movie, and they're filming it here in Athens.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm very excited for him and that team. But he sent me back a thing that said, you don't have enough money to make all these things happen.
He said that?
Yeah. Yes, he said, pick one spot. We said, we'll do B-roll for the other stuff, but pick one spot. And so I found a spot. I got permission from my HOA. We have walking trails in our neighborhood, and there's one that's wide enough to get the Jeep down. So I got permission. I got a key to get in there and videotape there. We were about to get everything set up, and there's a dog barking. And there's just no way. And it was Matt's idea to put my Neumann out there. I said, Matt, I don't want to, that's not going to sound good. And he goes, no, it'll be great. We got to have it. So then we were stuck. I didn't know what to do. So we went to the park where I run, and there's a dirt road, and off the dirt road is that field under the trees. And it could not have been a better location.
Yeah, it looks great.
We set up out there, but it is across from where they keep all the lawnmowers and stuff. So other than a few walkers, it was really okay. And one guy kind of stood in the background. We were looking at him like, come on, dude, really? Move on. And we were waiting on them to tell us because I didn't get permission to be out there because we weren't supposed to be out there. But as Matt said, you just act like we're supposed to be here and they won't say anything. And they didn't. So we did it there. And then Edwin, who's the one I say, donated the blood to the blood, sweat, and tears that went into this campaign because he laid down on the ground and got a tick in his back.
Oh.
Yeah, poor Edwin. He's so great. And he came back and did all the B-roll on it. But that spot, and here's a little story, little inspirational story. So I had cold feet right before we sent these. I thought, what am I doing? I really, to the point of tears, I was having doubts about everything.
Yeah.
Everything did not go as smoothly as I make it sound on social media. We don't talk about negative things on social media. There were certainly some challenges. And they all kind of came down on me right before we were about to send it. And I actually pulled the plug on the campaign and said, we got to wait until I'm ready. I'm not there yet. And so the day I finally said, okay, we're ready, and I went for a run, which is what I do to not kill people and ease my stress. So I ran that same road, because I always run that road. And I looked over to the right, and I have a picture of it. I've used it several times in the campaign. Through the trees, and that was not me making a body sound. That was my dog growling.
Oh, so, I didn't even hear it.
Okay, good. Thank God, because it did not sound like a dog growling. It sounded
wait
like
till I
something
go
else
back.
entirely.
Wait till I go back and edit it. We're gonna compress the heck out of that thing.
Yeah, she was growling at herself here in the window. But so I was running by, and this light was coming through the trees, and you guys aren't going to believe me, but I swear it's true. And it looked like a heart.
Okay.
And it was through the same trees where I'd pulled the Jeeps to record everything. And it was, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, so this is God, the universe, however people want to see it. I see it as God. I was like, okay, this is okay. It was just something to comfort my mind. It was something I needed to see to make me feel like, all right, I'm doing this. This is okay. And it was just wonderful. And it was in that spot. And now every time I run by that spot, it's a place of moving meditation for me when I go by. And I just focus on it, and I focus on the end result that I want from this and try to get energy to keep pushing forward on it. Some of my Jeep Hair, We Care video ideas came from a run.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, how do I keep this going? Somebody had suggested on Facebook that I do other people's Jeep stories. And I thought, I can't tell other people's stories.
No, yeah.
But I do want to highlight my voice, but how do I tell other people's stories but not Jeep stories? And then I came up with the Jeep Hair, We Care, based on the common adage, Jeep Hair, Don't Care, which was what one of the videos was about. And it's and everybody loves the Jeep Hair video, so I kind of played on that, even though that was the video that I had sent that got the response from the, hey, like what you're doing, very unique, but we sent it to the right people, and if an opportunity arises, we'll reach out. That was the roadblock. Was right after that video.
If they could only know what the real people are thinking, that's the thing. I mean, that's just the word that's coming up to me, and I totally get that place where you saw that in the trees. It became a spiritual place for you. You got you got what you needed to say. Okay, let's go.
Yep.
And that was one of the questions that I wanted to ask you. What was it that said, all right? And you answered that, and I didn't even have to ask it.
Because I can read your mind.
But the word that comes to my mind is authentic, and you mentioned that at the beginning of the program. And if you were to tell other people's Jeep stories, then that, not that they would be disingenuous, but it wouldn't be you, So... Anyway, I get it.
It would be them.
Yeah.
They need to tell their authentic story.
You'd just be the narrator.
When we talked about marketing and doing what works for you and using your background like you talked about, using your background and applying it to your voiceover business, and like I talked about, not doing what somebody else did, but doing your own thing that resonates with you, all of that comes off as authentic. And I think the word authentic is used too often these days, but from the pure definition of what it is, your marketing is authentic when you are doing all of those things. When you're doing something you're passionate about, that you have experience in, that's what makes it authentic. Yeah,
and that you're creating it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
From a place of authenticity, from a place in your heart, your psyche, your soul, whatever it may be, that resonates. And that's what makes, to me, that's what makes good marketing is... obviously it's the research that's driving it, but it's got to start from a place of authenticity.
Totally agree. I've got to be mindful of our clock and
I'm
your
sorry,
time.
I could talk to you forever. I mean, gosh.
This is awesome, and this is a great episode. I know people are going to get a lot from it, and I've really enjoyed the conversation. And I want to do it again at some point.
Because, like I said, you are... when we were on, I think it was the VOBS Marketing Roundtable.
Okay.
And you were popping, there was a connection problem.
Oh, yeah, you were on that East-West Audio Body Shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were popping on and off, but what you were saying, I think you and I have a very similar mindset when it comes to marketing. So when you asked me to do this, that's why I was nervous and excited. And thank you for putting me at ease, because the thing when people want to talk about this is I don't want to ever come off as it's my way, this is the way it works, and because it hasn't worked yet. I mean, I've gotten a return on my investment, but I mean, I haven't booked Jeep yet. So I don't want to give information that would be misinformation or inspire people to, quit their jobs and invest in marketing campaigns. And, I don't want to be that person, but I hope that some of the things that you and I have discussed today will maybe inspire or motivate or get somebody excited about doing something that they're passionate about.
And that's why I wanted to have you on the program, is because, and you're being honest and open about everything, but you have thoroughly enjoyed the process. And I just wanted to show people, what you are doing and what other people may be doing to just market their business and have fun along the way.
Oh, yeah, and that is the key. When you stop having fun, that is the hard thing about letting this go in December. Is I am having so much fun. It is so fun for me when people send me pictures of Jeeps they see, and it happens all the time, friends of mine, and they'll say, oh my gosh, did you see this? Or there's a guy I didn't even know about who's got this incredible Jeep collection, and somebody tweeted it at me and said, hey, this guy is like an hour away from you. You should go check him out. I love that kind of thing because it is fun. It is really fun. And when I wind this down, I'm going to miss the fun part of this campaign. And I have a feeling that I know myself well enough that it's not the last.
Yeah, you're going to ramp it up.
Just a wind down. I'm just going to ramp it back up again. I'm going to refuel.
That's why I told you what I did earlier. It's like, that's okay. You have to do that. I get it.
It is. Now, the book, is the book The Outrageous Advertising Outrageously Successful? Was that the book you were talking about?
Outrageous Advertising That's Outrageously Successful, and the last name is Glazer, Glazer. I think you can get it on Amazon. And,
I am so going to buy it. There I sound like a teenager again. I'm so going to buy that book.
You'll love it. And Bill's a good guy. He started off in the menswear business and studied this guy named Dan Kennedy and started to develop marketing for his menswear business. And then he came up with all these advertising campaigns and things of that. And then he started to teach other people how to do it. And he started this information marketing business. And then he bought Dan Kennedy's business from him and grew that to, I don't know what, but I mean, it was a subscription business and he had newsletters and I was a subscriber and I would go to his conferences and I saw some really neat people speak. Gene Simmons, he got Gene Simmons from KISS. He got Joan Rivers. He got big names they get to come to these things and talk. George Foreman came and talked about the...
Holy cow, that's so cool.
Yeah, Cal Ripken Jr. came and spoke. All of these folks are savvy business people on top of being celebrities. And so it was just a great learning experience. And I met some really neat people. And I wound up making a lot of money, which was great. Yeah. But at the same time, and I learned so much. But at any rate, yeah, it's a great book. I think you'll like it. Is there anything else that you want to share with folks before we wrap this up?
Wow. I mean, we've covered so much. I feel like I've talked your ear off.
It's been great. I'm not even going to edit this thing.
I'd like to ask a favor.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
And that is, again, that was her. That was not me.
I didn't hear it.
Okay, good. She's barking at herself in the window. I'm going to have to send you these pictures. So, and I've got two dogs. This is the gypsy dog that is Falcor, the luck dragon. But the favor I would like to ask is one of the ways that I can gain traction with this is, pun intended, by the way, is that it is so helpful. Okay, did you not hear that?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I heard it a little.
Yeah, she's going, Rrr. Yeah. So I guess she doesn't like what I'm about to say. Any sort of...
Didn't hear it.
Any sort of reposting, sharing of the videos as individuals, as anything that is hashtagged. It's great if you can hashtag it My Jeep Story, hashtag it KB for Jeep. Tagging Jeep is huge. Anything you can do to help do that would be great. I remember I was pretty new to Twitter when all this started, and I was so touched by a complete stranger I have never met in our industry. Jay Preston was the first person to retweet it, and it just, I was like, wow, I don't even know this guy, and this is really nice of him to do that. And I appreciate any time somebody can do that, or if you see a picture of a Jeep and you want to, hashtag KB for Jeep, that's great. Tag Jeep, tag me, hashtag. That's awesome. It's a big help. And if you don't want to do that, obviously no big deal. I don't want to put pressure on anybody, but it's just helpful because what it does is when the PR company is pitching these media outlets, it helps.
They do their research.
Yeah, they do their research. And so it really helps kind of give credibility to the campaign. There was a guy who went for a job, I think at Yahoo, who did a video about himself, and the techie bloggers went nuts with it. It went viral because all the techie bloggers were writing about it. And then he got to be on the Today Show.
Oh, wow.
So it was really a great way. And I think they offered him a job or at least got an interview. So I would love to have that model happen, but the only way it's going to happen is if people are sharing it and talking about it. And like you having me on, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. And even individually, if you guys are up for it, hashtag My Jeep Story, tag me, tag Jeep. If you have room to hashtag KB for Jeep on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, I know the ad agency, I've started a relationship with them on Instagram. The person running their Instagram account is just delightful. And it's great because I know I'm gaining some traction there. So anything you guys can do would be so helpful from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for that. Thank you for having me on today because this is helpful too. And thank you for making me not feel so nervous because, again, you're a guru and I don't want to say anything bad. And
no, this is
thank you. I really, really appreciate it.
This is one of the best episodes we've had. So.
Oh, dude, come on.
No,
really?
Yeah. I mean, we've been talking for about an hour and a half. This is awesome. And I'm
sorry I talked your ear off.
No, look, there's been no wasted time, except for maybe the dog farts.
He's growling. If it was farts, I'd have to open the door because those are pretty horrible.
I'm keeping that in too.
Did you just hear that one?
No, I was too busy laughing. Anyway, I'm keeping that in. If you can't handle it, then, there are other podcasts. Anyway.
That's okay. I accidentally said that word in a session one time.
Oh?
I was having trouble. I forget what I was stumbling over, probably particular. And in the middle of a session, it was a live session, and I was in a studio. I think it was Doppler in Atlanta, and I just went, oh, fart! Something that I would not talk about in my voiceover etiquette class if I ever decide to do one.
We all have moments.
Don't scream. Okay, you heard that, didn't you?
I heard a little yip.
Yeah, that was her.
Yeah.
So I would not advise screaming the word fart when you're in the middle of a live session with a new client.
I like being in my room, but I am in a fishbowl. But, there are times when I'll have this. You said, what was the word that you tripped over, particularly?
Particularly.
Yeah, I have a hard time with probably, or it will probably be.
Ooh, yeah, that's a toughie.
Yeah, and so I don't know. I don't know about you. I'll go through a script really quickly just to kind of use it as a roadmap and get a lay of the land. And then sometimes I'll just start and I'll get, I heard that. And it sounded like a dog. And then I'll get to a point and then I'll trip up and then I'll come back at it again. And then I'll trip up maybe 2 syllables prior to that. And this becomes this law of diminishing returns. And by the time, the 10th time around, I'm starting at can't get the first word out. And there was one time, there was this terrible piece of copy, and I had to get 15 seconds down to 10. And they wouldn't change a word of it. So I was like, okay, I'll just blast you with. Anyway, I had it, and I got to a point where I just ripped the copy out of the copy stand, crumpled it up, and threw it across the room. And the guy in the studio next to me is looking at me like, is he okay in there? What? He just had his eyes got wide, and it was like, what's he doing? And of course, the room was closed, and he could read lips, let's put it that way.
Oh, that's so funny.
But, hey, it happens. It happens, whatever. Yeah, we'll definitely put those hashtags out. Send me an email, and I'll make sure that they get in the show notes accurately.
Oh, great.
And
I'll send you the way, and there is a video I want to put together. I just haven't had time. I did it I was on a Jeep talk show, and I did one for them that told their listeners, they were so kind to run it on their show, to show their listeners how they could help. And that's, basically reposting, sharing, and then tagging is a huge, huge, huge way to wave the flag in front of Jeep and their ad agencies.
I have this idea that just popped into my head.
Bring it on. What you got?
Have you searched for podcasts about Jeep in iTunes?
I have not.
That might be some
great idea.
Yeah, and get on their show.
Brilliant. I'm writing that down.
Yeah, just popped into my head because there's a podcast for everything now.
Oh, there is, and the kind of, I don't know what they're called, webcast. So like the Jeep Talk Show, they were so kind. They contacted me early on, before I went public, when they were just interested in the voiceover part. So I actually told them before I went public, I said, I haven't decided how I'm going to go public yet, but when I do, I would love to wait and go on then. And they were kind enough to bring me on, and they were such nice people. And they will also rerun some of my Jeep Hair We Care videos and the Jeep Wave. I mean, they've just been the Jeep community, the people who drive Jeeps. There's a great one on Twitter called the Jeep Mafia. They're so fun. They are really supportive. Worldwide Jeeps is great because they will send the inspirational dog stories or the Jeep Wave pictures. They have been really supportive of it. And
my wife, she used to date a guy who had a Jeep, and she got in the Jeep with him one time, and he was driving down. This was like his first Jeep, and I
think I know where this is going.
She sees him waving and other Jeeps waving,
girls.
And she's like, "What is that?" Oh, we wave to each other. She looked at him and said,
"We do."
You wave because he owns a Jeep? And is that what you meant by the Jeep Wave thing?
Yes. So I have done 2 videos about how the Jeep Wave came to be. And there's a Jeep Wave Day. I think it's 5/5, so May 5th. There's a whole movement.
Okay.
And people are very picky. There are videos about how to do the Jeep Wave. 2 fingers, 3 fingers, whole finger off. One guy sent me a picture of his foot on the outside of the car. Another guy, and I'm bad. If I'm in a rental car, I'm so used to doing the Jeep Wave. I'll be, in some, mom car driving through, wherever I am, and hey, and waving at Jeeps, looking at me like, why? Yeah. But it's a Jeep Wave.
It's the
Jeep
culture.
Wave and Jeep Hair, they're all kind of Jeep community things.
That's cool.
It is, and there's even etiquette, and I don't know all the etiquette, but there's etiquette about how the younger Jeep has to wave before the older Jeep waves back. That's one of them.
It's like a salute, the lower rank.
The lower rank that you're saluting. You go first.
Okay.
And then the other one goes, and I get irritated if they don't wave back at me. Like,
Okay.
hello, I just waved at you.
Yeah.
New Jeep owner. The kids like that. I live in a college town.
Yeah.
So the college kids, in their Jeeps, they don't wave back because they haven't learned.
They're too busy texting.
Oh gosh.
Anyway.
They're too busy texting or taking doing Snapchat
Selfies,
filters
yeah.
of themselves driving their Jeep.
Yeah. Anyway, we won't go there. Well, this has been delightful, and we're going to have you back on.
I'd love to come back on, and even if it's to talk about lessons learned from whether this fails or succeeds.
Yeah.
As you and I were talking about, we learn so much from our failures.
Yeah. This has been great. Kelley.
When I get a little less emotionally attached to it, I'll be able to talk about some of these things.
Yeah, no, that's totally understandable and great. Thank you so much for all this time. Are you open to giving out information if people want to reach out to you?
Absolutely. The only thing I would ask is that be patient with me. If it takes me a while to get back in touch, sometimes it'll take me a while to get back in touch with somebody. Especially if they do it soon because I'm still recovering. Are you hearing her?
Was that your stomach growling or your dog?
No, I did eat before I came in. It's the dog. And she looks at herself in the window of the booth and talks to herself. This is why she can't come in when I'm voicing. The big one can come in because she's afraid of storms, so she comes in.
Oh.
But this is exactly why the little one can't. And I just did a story about her. Somebody was asking me about her, and I said, well, I've trained her. She doesn't do it anymore, and she's doing it right now.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we're going to get a big storm here in Boston, so it's...
You're in Boston. My husband's whole family is from Boston.
Oh, okay. Whereabouts?
So his dad grew up in Melrose.
Sure.
And his aunt lives in Worcester.
Worcester.
And, yes, so Melrose and, oh, man, where's the other place? Where's his mom from? Oh, I'm just drawing a total. Saugus?
Saugus, okay. North of Boston, yeah, right.
Yeah, so she's from Saugus, and we love Boston. And his uncle lives on Bow Lake in New Hampshire, which is not far from there.
Okay. Well, let me know when you're in town.
I
if
will.
You ever
We
do.
used to come up a lot when his grandmother. I owe Rosie. Do you know Rosie Amador up in that area?
Sure, I know who she is. I think we've
Rosie
traded.
dearly.
Yeah.
I owe her a visit. She came down to see me recently, and I definitely owe she and Brian a visit. I'd love to come see them, and especially if Brian will cook for me.
Okay. Yeah, she's a mutual friend of one of my business coaches. So at any rate,
cool.
Yeah, it's a small world.
It is a small world, and I feel like I know you. So look, when you ever come down this way, we're going kayaking.
Sounds great. Absolutely.
And we're going to talk marketing and all kinds of fun stuff. Because I wish I could hug you right now. I feel like I know you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. That's very nice. So if they want to reach out to you, what's the best way to do that? That's okay. I'll take the hug.
The best way to reach out to me is via email.
Okay.
It's via email, kb@kbvoiceovers.com. By the way, we should do a whole nother show on voiceover, voice-over, But I use it as one word.
Yeah, okay.
kb@kbvoiceovers, plural, one word.
Sounds good.
And just be patient with me. If you contact me, it may take me a while to get back in touch with you, but I will. And just know that I'm also of the school that I'm not going to. I'm happy to kind of give you some ideas, but I'm not going to do it for you.
Absolutely, yeah. No, this is
it's not. I had somebody contact me once, and they said, "I'll pay you $50 for your time just to." Share ideas. And I said, I'm not going to charge you for that. I said, and if I charged you for that, I'd have to tell you all my secrets. I'm not going to do that. I said, we'll go out and grab a margarita together, and we'll brainstorm and have a great time and try to flesh out your ideas. But I'm not going to give out all my secrets.
Right.
But, I'm happy to share what works for me. If you think it'll work for you, I'm happy to share that with you, the listener. I'm happy to share that with you. I love to brainstorm marketing. I really, really love to brainstorm marketing. And if you run, come with me. We'll run in the morning because that's when all the best ideas come. And we'll run and brainstorm at the same time.
That sounds awesome.
Let's do it.
All right. Kelley, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you, everybody who's listening. Thank you for listening to all this craziness. And like I said, I hope this episode and the things that John has said and apparently says obviously over and over again, that's so important is that use your background, use what you already have to market yourself, be authentic in the fact that make sure you're doing things that you feel comfortable doing. And I'm getting an amen from my dog here.
Yep. And have fun.
Yes. Have fun. Please have fun. See?
And we'll end there.
All right.
Thanks, Kelley.
Bye. Thank you.
Wasn't that great? Kelley was so generous with her time. Let's all go out and use those hashtags and everything to help promote Kelley and help her become the voice for Jeep. She was very generous with her time and her knowledge on the podcast in these 2 episodes, 2 great episodes. Kelley, thank you again for being so generous. So we'll have another episode next week. Thanks for listening. Uncle Frank, take it away.
Our program originates in the Boston studios. We hope you'll join us again. Until then, we bid you au revoir, keep your chin up, and the best of luck.
Well, that's it for this episode of the VoiceOver Marketing Podcast. If you like this podcast, please subscribe to it at voiceovermarketingpodcast.com so you'll get notices of new episodes, and please share it with your friends and colleagues in the voiceover world. Also, it would be a huge help if you'd like this podcast and rate it on iTunes to help keep it near the top of the list. Feel free to share your comments and questions about this episode and future topics you'd like discussed at voiceovermarketingpodcast.com. And if you'd like more information on one-on-one coaching where we focus on growing your business, feel free to drop me a line at my cyber assistant's email address at mike@johnmelly.com. Thanks for listening. Now go out there and share your voice with the world.